Hello everybody and welcome to edition 2 of WildLife with Effie Wild. I am coming to you from my little studio in southwestern Ontario where the day is absolutely glorious. It is sunny, it is warm. I am so freaking happy. I can hear the birds singing. This just makes my life so much better. I can't even begin to tell you. So this spread that I'm working on in WildLife number 2 is done on a piece of that crappy water paper color that I was telling you about last time, and I've started it out with a layer of black gesso. I got a little bee in my bonnet about working with interference paints by Golden, which are a medium that I don't generally use. I think I've used them once before in a mandala that I painted for Book of Days, and I think that was back in like 2016 or 17. So I've had these interference paints sitting around in one of my lovely IKEA aqua colored carts, and it's just been sitting there and doing nothing. So I pulled out the interference violet, interference blue, and interference green, and decided once again to revisit a flower that's very much on my mind right now, and that is the lavender flower. It's definitely something that's been popping into my consciousness regularly, so I decided to go ahead and paint it again, but in a completely different style. I'm starting this painting off with a white Stabilo All pencil, and the reason that I'm doing that is that the Stabilo All pencil is really easy to remove once you have painted whatever it is that you're painting. So you'll often see me start a painting with a Stabilo All either in black or in white, and then if I'm working with portraits or other elements on a light spread, I might actually activate the Stabilo because I like the inky sort of look it gives me. But generally, if I'm working with the white Stabilo, I'm working with it just so that I can wipe it out of the painting, and that will definitely be the case with this painting. So lavender flowers are really pretty easy to do. You just do a stalk and then you do kind of little curls all along either side, and then it's up to you as far as the colors are concerned. I like to think of them as being a combination of green, blue, and purple, so that's why I pulled out the violet, blue, and green. You can paint them to look, any way you like. You can go with just straight purple and white or blue and white. But the reason that I'm loving lavender so much right now is, as I mentioned in the last video, it has a real medicinal quality for me. It feels like a deep breath, like it offers me a sense of coming to center and of being in a state of deep peace. And of course, it always reminds me of summer, which is upcoming here on the 21st of June, where we will have the summer solstice. And it reminds me of warm, sunny days out in nature, which is one of my favorite ways to spend time. So I've just been really feeling these flowers lately. There's no real deep meaning behind why I wanted to paint this. I just got, like I said, that little bee in my bonnet about wanting to do them again, but in a completely different style. So now that I've done the drawing with my Stabilo All, I'm going to pull out my interference paints. Some of these are, they've never been opened. That's how rarely I use them. So I'm going to start with the green and using the green just to create the stems and the flowers. The thing I love about interference paints is that they are absolutely stunningly gorgeous on a very, very dark background. They're not quite so impressive on a regular background, on a light background, except that they do add some shimmer. But when you're working with these paints on top of black gesso, they are a very similar sort of feeling to another of my favorite combinations, which is metallic watercolors on top of black gesso. This was really an experiment for me. I've never painted anything in particular with these paints. Like I said, the last painting I did with these, the first and last, was just a mandala, so it was just a matter of sort of coloring in. But in this painting, I'm trying to be just a little bit more representational, and I want to create something that at least somewhat resembles lavender flowers. If you guys know me at all, you know that I'm not really all that invested in how realistic my art looks. I'm not one of those photorealistic painters that gets stuck on details or worries too much about things like proportion or whether or not this is how, I don't know, a nose would actually look on a human face. I'm a process painter. I'm really far more interested in how I feel while I'm in the midst of creating. That's really what I'm going for here. So while I was painting this little painting, I was listening to one of my favorite peaceful musicians. It's a band that just makes me feel exactly like I want to feel when I'm looking for a little serenity, a little peace and quiet. And the name of that band is Unibal. They are just amazing. I absolutely love their work. I put a link below so that you guys can go and find them as well. I, as a former pagan podcaster, discovered their music when I was looking for good music for meditation to recommend to my listeners, and I've been a fan ever since. So Anugama is definitely for you if you're into ambient music that's not going to interfere too much with your emotional state, that's not going to like rev you up or make you feel like you're, I don't know, at a rave. They're just really mellow, really beautiful, pretty music that suits my painting style perfectly, especially when I'm using painting as I am in this example, where what I'm doing here is really offering up my effort in a attempt to attain something that I desire. So my desired sort of outcome here with this painting is that I achieve a state of deep peace. And one of the reasons for that is something that I will talk about in the Patreon version a little bit later, that it has to do with trauma response and CPTSD and how I've been navigating that lately. This is one of the ways that I navigate that, and I just want to go into that in a little bit more detail in the Patreon version of this video, which you guys can find at patreon.com/FEWild.